Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? I'll tell you who is live. Shimon Nemec. He almost single-handedly defeats the Chicago Blackhawks. Final score 4-3. New Jersey Devils improve to 12-4-1 on the season. Unbelievable effort for Shimon Nemec tonight. Just unbelievable. His first multi-goal game of his career. And it comes at an incredible time. I mean, look, like this kid, for some reason, he's kind of up and down at the beginning of the year when he's not getting so many minutes, and then finally when the right side of the fence ends up getting injured and getting battered a little bit, he ends up being an absolute freak out there. He is playing his way. Not only up the lineup ranks here and up the ice time charts and everything like that, he may be playing his way onto staying on this New Jersey Devils team. He's obviously someone that's always in trade rumors and everything like that, but he, again, single-handedly defeats the Blackhawks tonight. Final score 4-3 in overtime. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Speaking of the Devils. I'm your host, Ryan Novozinsky, joining you from my home studio right here in lovely downtown Ewing, New Jersey. We have a couple main topics we're going to discuss before we get into the comments, but I know that you guys want us, that's the reason you're here, is you want us to get into the comments, so we will not take that long. It's just a couple big picture topics that I think, we should take away from this game. And let's start with Nemec himself, right? Like again, he's playing his way to stay in this lineup whenever Jonathan Kovacevic gets back, whenever Brett Pesce gets back. He had some up and down games, when he wasn't getting as much ice time again. But he's more than proving, that why he deserves to stay. He heard the trade rumors clearly, and he does so in emphatic fashion, getting his first career hat trick tonight and his first career multi-goal game tonight. It starts there with the awesome backhand goal at the end of the second. 14.3 seconds to go. This is the second game in a row where he's had like a crazy end of period goal, clutch goal too, to equalize things. He gets it there with 14.3 seconds. Last game, it was a 4.7 seconds left in regulation to tie it against the Islanders to send it to overtime. And then today, just ends up burying it in overtime off a Jacob Markstrom pass. Was that a Jacob Markstrom primary assist? I think it was. And again, ties it in the third as well. A nice rush chance as well. He is just so damn clutch. Again, that cannot be overstated. This was the Shimon Nemec game. Unbelievable effort from him. Our second topic that we'll get to tonight is just the play of that first line. I thought that, so obviously Sheldon Keefe made a bunch of changes coming into this game. He rolls with Mercer, Gritsuk, and Jack Hughes on that top line. I think a lot of people wanted to see, and myself included, wanted to see Jack Bratt and Gritsuk, but I think this line worked. Mercer, obviously it's driven by Jack. Jack's the motor on that line. Jack's the one that gets it all going there. Obviously, he was like humming tonight. He was on a different level. Pretty ridiculous play from him tonight. I thought that he probably should have had I can't remember how many assists he finished with. I think it was 2 tonight. I'm shocked that at one point he didn't have like 5 or 6. Like he was setting up people, his line mates and people that were on the players that were on the ice with him, even the defensemen, with just excellent chances all night. So I'm sure that he'll earn a start tonight as well. He was ridiculous. I'm going to guess it's going to be Shimon Nemec, Jack Hughes, and probably Spencer Knight. Right? Honestly, he was a freak all game as well. So great tweaks from Sheldon Keefe there. I thought that we might see a Gritsuk, Bratt, and Jack kind of line, because I didn't think that you necessarily wanted to split up Jack and Bratt. Why would you want to split up peanut butter and jelly? But the gamble paid off. That Mercer one-timer is so underrated. Jack connects there on the goal. And I think that's just a perfect pairing there. That's a nice little pairing that can keep you afloat, keep that top 6 float for a little bit there. So hats off to them, and great adjustments there from Keefe. And then finally, let's start with let's kind of get into the not so good topics tonight. The injuries. You had the injuries to Cody Glass. You had the injuries to Zach McEwen. both guys that just got back from injuries. Terrible injury luck for the Devils this year. They're fourth in man games lost this season. Um, Glass appeared to be grabbing his shoulder there, a hit at the end of the first period there. McEwen, it looked like a lower body, looked like a knee or something like that. Definitely lower body. Didn't know if it was knee or leg or whatever. But he gets hit hard in that defensive zone. He hobbles off the ice. Cody Glass, same. Cody Glass, McEwen never came back in the game. Cody Glass tried to come back in the game, but after one shift, just looked completely uncomfortable, and he leaves the game. So we'll see what Sheldon Keefe has to say about that. But I mean, two big losses, two guys that came back from their initial injuries and ended up playing really well. Glass, not only a defensive player, but looked sharp in the offensive zone as well. McEwen, a guy that revitalized. Like, this is a guy that transformed that Devils fourth line from being one of the worst units all year. That was their worst, weakest unit all year, consistently, to turning them into a force. Like, he was a good forechecker. He even had some offensive chops to him. So if he's out for any extended period of time, and McEwen's all season, he's been a guy that comes in, has an excellent game, and then gets injured that game or the next game. So some sustainability issues there for him, some durability issues there. We'll see what Keefe has to say about that in the post game. The final main topic tonight, before we jump into your guys' comments and what you guys have to say, there's a Luke Hughes conversation we have to have here. Not great, I you see the shots, let's see how many shots exactly he put up tonight. Just want to pull this up. Led the team in shots 7. That's awesome. Great. He's finally getting, shots on net, shots through traffic. He's not just peppering teams with shot attempts and getting blocked and whatever. Strong signs in the offensive zone, I suppose, and that's fine. The offensive potential is there. But it's these errant passes. Okay. He had another game where Luke Hughes has a spinning pass that leads to a turnover, that leads to a goal. This time it was from the end wall. It was on Sligert's goal there. Last game it was the one near the red line there that led to Bo Horvat's breakaway and eventual goal. The one from last game went right into the stick of Kyle Palmieri, who dished it to Bo Horvat to get the breakaway chance. And then there was the Lafferty goal. Okay, great sequence all around, amazing. Like that was a unbelievable goal. But for him to deke his way around Luke, who should have laid a hit there, you got to lay a hit there. Okay, that's just unacceptable. So look, the potential is always there for Luke, and at times he is driving the offense, and that's great. But these concerning plays we're always going to highlight those when they're leading to goals against. We're always going to highlight these big mistakes when they're emphatic mistakes, right? When they're leading to goals against, when they're leading to excellent scoring chances for the other team. Luke Hughes has to step it up. At some point, you got paid $9 million per year this offseason. At some point, you have to play like a $9 million per year player. $63 million total, by the way. Look, again, this is not to sound the alarms on Luke Hughes as a player. Overall, he's going to be fine, and certainly has shown glimpses here in his career. And there's a reason the Devils paid him so much. But stop with the careless mistakes. Keep up with the careless mistakes, and we'll keep honing in on those careless mistakes. And if you stop them, if you clean those up, we can highlight some of the the better plays that you make. But yeah, those are my big picture takeaways from this game. Devils again beating the Blackhawks 4-3 in overtime. Devils 12-4-1. Now let's get into the comments. We have 50 people in the chat right now. That is way more than I expected there to be at almost 1 a.m. Eastern time. So let's dive right in. All right, Zach Chin, if I had $1 for every injury we've sustained, I could drop out of law school, spend the rest of my life sitting at center ice for every game, for every home game. We've constantly get bullied by teams. Devils, again, 4th in man games lost to injury this year. Not great. Question from Monday: if you could choose the Devil's goal song, what would you choose? I mean, look, I would, if you could somehow bring back rock and roll part two, but you can't because Gary Glitter's a terrible, terrible, terrible person, and you should not want him to get or his family estate to get any sort of another dime from any sort of playbacks or anything like that. Um, I'm gonna go with another boring generic one that they play at a lot of sporting events, and that's Song Two by Blur. Like the what is that? It's like the woohoo, right? Like that's it. I think it is. Whatever. I can't remember at the top of my head, but yeah, that's a good one. I was looking that up today for you, Zach Chin. I thought of you today. Question of the day: if your alarm clock had to either be the Columbus Blue Jackets cannon, or I'm just gonna stop you right there. It's gonna be the whatever the next one is. It's the Capitals goal horn. Yeah, no, I hate that cannon. I covered a game in Columbus a couple years ago. It was brutal. Zach Chin said this game had bad vibes from puck drop. Well, Zach, you clearly were in the chat a little early because the Devils turned around. We're going to skip over some of these comments here just because these were clearly done before. I want you guys to use the live chat as a feature for you guys to talk during the game. That's great. But some of these haven't aged exactly well, so we will kind of go on with the more live comments. Our friend Noah says Nemo Hattie here, fishy fishy. There you go. Colin Busacco, an Oklahoman, says Markey looking like Marty with that pass. Yeah, that was ridiculous. Yeah, Jacob Markstrom. That was a bad game from him. Like early on there, and that 5-on-3 sequence was just plain brutal. Why are you diving out there? Why are you sprawling out there in the high slot, basically, like several feet out? But he launched it down the ice. That was a beauty. That was a beauty. As someone that covered the Giants last year, I don't think I've seen a pass like that in a crisp pass like that, especially from a goaltender. Like, come on, man. That was a thing of beauty for sure. Nico says he's going to bed, but I did not like that game. Come on, man. They won. They won. What the heck? Come on. Max Pendanoff says, Nemec Hattie, WTF did I just watch? You know what you watched, Max? You watched a player that knows how to step it up when he's given the proper opportunity. Okay. Some players just don't do well when they're given such limited ice time, when they're not able to kind of just, cook a little bit, when they're not able to just, the ice doesn't open up for them as much. Nemec is clearly a guy between this and between last playoffs. He's clearly a guy that's proven if you improve his role, he's going to show out for you. And that's why I say off the top here that he's someone that's going to play his way into the lineup here. Has some inconsistent games here and there. It has been kind of wishy-washy at times this season. But how can you not like the past few games from this kid with the improved role? Just really special to see. Lou from Peru says Nemo the GOAT for sure. Hattie, just a bunch of. All right, Tyler Siva with a zag, the zag of the century here. Forget Quinn, trade Dougie so we can pay Nemec. Yeah, when is Nemec an RFA? Because that's gonna be something. I feel like I haven't even thought about that just because that's like we've talked so much about Nemec kind of being the odd man out and the guy that's going to be the trade chip, the guy that's going to be the big trade chip around, Quinn or whoever it ends up being. Maybe he still might be. Maybe he's just raising his trade value right now. I don't know. But I'd be hesitant to trade Nemec right now. I mean, look, and he's probably going to have a bad game next game, and we're going to all, the comments are going to freak out. I'm probably going to ride that momentum too, where it's like, okay, he's too inconsistent. See what you can get from him when his trade value is this high. He's off to a superb start with this increased role. We will see if he can stay hot. Griffin Weiss says Nemo showing who should have gotten the $63 million extension. Again, yeah, as I said off the top there, Luke Hughes has not had a great couple of games here. I thought, look, last game we'll give him the benefit of the doubt that I thought that was, offensively and getting shots through. There was a lot to like about him last game, and there was even a lot to like about him this game. You don't put up 7 shots, and that's not just a fluky thing you do. He clearly has offensive upside. He clearly is, not even just upside. He's clearly shown these offensive glimpses before. It's just those careless mistakes that you have to hone in on because he makes so many of them, and they've been so glaring lately because they've led to goals against. These past 2 games, two spinning passes, two errant blind passes from Luke Hughes that lead to goals against. I don't blame Devils fans for being angry about that, especially you paid him this offseason. Again, you got to step it up, Luke Hughes. Zach Chin says, I'm getting really effing tired of the Markstrom hate. If we won this game 6-3, like we should have, there wouldn't be a single comment about our goaltending, and he was a 0.35, while Knight was 0.52. That's surprising. I imagine you're talking about the goals saved above expected stats. I would imagine that Knight's was a lot better. He made some ridiculous saves tonight. So for them to be, pretty similar, I think it's just I'll be honest with you, Zach. I mean, it's kind of a similar argument to the Luke thing. It's like, okay, there's a lot of upside, there's a lot of, bright spots there and everything like that, but people hone in on those really careless mistakes, like that 5-on-3 sequence, like, when the Devils tie it up and he ends up looking out of position on that Lafferty goal, which I know that Lafferty goal was just ridiculous, but he overcommitted there. So I think that's where you see some of this hate creep through. And overall this season, he just isn't off to the best start. So willing to be patient, willing to see what Markstrom can end up doing, and I think that he's not going to be cold forever. And I think tonight he was fine. I think tonight he was rock solid. It did enough to win you the game, and he gets you that great assist there on the Nemec goal. But I don't blame people for him having such a cold start after they just paid him. I don't blame people for kind of looking, at some of these mistakes and really, harping on them a little bit. Griffin says Kovacevic contract looks dumber by the day. We'll see, man, because when he gets back in the lineup, I think we have to think big picture. Like when he gets back in the lineup, he's such a good pair with Jonas Siegenthaler there that you might have, we'll see if that looks mistaky. I think his AAV is fine, and that's going to age really well when the cap goes up. But he's going to show you his true value when he's back and playing with Siegenthaler, because that pair was just so dangerous last year in the defensive end. Noah says, here I was worried about another injury with Markstrom. He gets an assist in OT, big momentum game. They dominated the whole way. I was worried too. I was completely worried. I mean, the broadcaster said it right off the bat. Markstrom was hurt. And that's why I tweeted. I ended up deleting it. He said Markstrom was hurt. So he ends up being fine and makes a couple nice saves there down the stretch, keeps the Devils in it, has the awesome assist there. Does Markstrom have 2 points this year? Does he? I think now he is tied with Andre Palat in points. So that's not good. Oh my goodness. Matthias Wiggleham, holy hat trick, WTF. Yeah, I mean, did not expect a Simone Nemec hat trick to come out of tonight, but stick taps to. Gosh, just burped in the mic. Stick taps to him for getting that, and hats off, I guess, as well. Crosa says Markstrom has like an 850 on the year. If you're defending him, you're high. I don't think Zach Chin is high, but I mean, look, again, you're accurate. You're more than in your rights to bring up his save percentage, and his Devil save percentage is sub 900 as well. I think it actually is hovers around that 850 mark. So again, it's not people aren't hating on him, game to game and like looking at him under a microscope, waiting for him to fail. They just see the holistic body of work there. They see the holistic body of work there, and it's not up to par yet for someone that's going to be making $6 million. But again, I'm not going to rag on Markstrom here because he got the assist and he made a couple key saves there. It's just like the two dumb sequences where it's like the 5-on-3, where I know there's a lot of pressure coming at him, and that's fine, but it just can't be sprawling out there in the high slot again. And on the Lafferty goal, you just overcommit there. So, but that was a crazy sequence there from Lafferty. You got to give him his credit there too. Daniel Harwitz said Markstrom had a rough game, but a great finish. Yes, exactly what I've been saying this whole time. B not 13. Take this man out of all trade proposals. I'm sure he's talking about Simone Nemec there, or keep him in these trade proposals so that the Devils can get a really great maybe the Simone Nemec for Quinn Hughes. The trade is 1-for-1. Who says no? Probably Vancouver, but maybe not at this point. At this rate, we shall see. Gerald York in the top 6 looked much better with these new combos. Mercer, Hughes, Grits, advanced stats were crazy good. Keep them together. I want to go look at these advanced stats because I've been seeing people posting them all game. I just haven't really been checking them out. Um, let's read the fancy stats for that top line because they were unbelievable tonight. Um, oh my gosh, just gross, just gross. Shot attempts 20, and this all 5-5. Obviously, it's freaking 5-5 lines. 29-5. 29-5 shot attempt advantage for that Jack Gritzuk and Dawson Mercer line. Shots on goal 10-1 shots on goal advantage for that top line. Goals 1-0. And this is the crazy number. Expected goals for percentage 96.18. For all of you that don't know what that means, oh, and high danger chances 6-0. For those of you who don't know what the expected goals means, that's really freaking good. That is really freaking good. Here's a glimpse of what that means. So there was Palat, Glass, and Nason, and Cotter, Glendening, and Nason were both like sometimes Natural Stat Trick will put this on like there's just a couple lines that'll play for like just a couple minutes there. Those guys got 3 minutes 13 and 142. Their expected goals for percentage was 100 because they got like a good shot attempt in there or something like that. Again, they played like sub 4 minutes. That Jack Hughes line played 15 minutes combined. So that is ridiculously good for a 15-minute sample size for them to be able to do that is unbelievable. Let's move on. Rick Roma, when is the last Devils D-man to record a hat trick? That was wild. I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. I would have to check that out. Maybe someone's tweeted that out, but does Dougie have one for the Devils? I don't know. He would be my first guess, but yeah, no, that was unbelievable. Crosa. Nemo can go in the package for Quinn. I will allow it. Yeah, again. Nemec for Quinn. The trade is 1-for-1. Who says no? See, at this point, I mean, he's increasing his trade value for sure. Shiver Me Timber says Markstrom and Palat should switch positions. That was a good little pass from Markstrom. That was a good pass. And now he has as many points as Palat does this year, so we'll see. We'll see. Gerald York says a lot of scouts at the game tonight. Something is brewing. Yeah, I saw the Maple Leafs GM or AGM was there as well. Not just him, but I think a couple Predator scouts. I'm eyeing Nashville. I'm buying into this Ryan O'Reilly thing. Yeah. So I'd have to see the full list again, but yeah, certainly a lot of teams looking to poach from these teams, or maybe they're trying to. Maybe the Devils are dealing. Maybe they're looking at some of these prospects. Maybe they're looking at Shimon Nemec. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what ends up materializing from that. Daniel Hurwitz says Luke needs to feel the heat with the way Nemo is coming on. We have a new 1D. Yeah, this is a guy. Nemec is a guy that has not gotten his big contract yet. Luke Hughes got his big contract, and Nemec is outperforming him right now. Full stop on the season. I think he's even outperforming him for sure. Luke Hughes play like a number one defenseman. By the way, quick update. Amanda Stein says after the game, no update on either Cody Glass or Zach McEwen. Let's see if there's anything else here. Devils will be off tomorrow and return to practice Friday. And the other big piece of news entering this game was that the Dougie Hamilton and Connor Brown, just a quick little aside from this, just getting away from the questions for a second. Dougie Hamilton and Connor Brown did not travel on this trip. It sounded like the way that this was framed, and the Devils spokesperson said this to all of us. Sounded like the way it was framed that the Devils are pretty optimistic that at least one of them will be back on the second leg of the trip. The Devils will return to Jersey and practice on Monday, so we'll see what ends up happening. Matthias Wiggelhelm says, Ryan, we love this. If you're talking about the stream, thank you so much, Matthias. Look, if you're a new listener, if you're an old listener, if you haven't subscribed yet, please be sure to like and subscribe. Tell your friends, share the link, whatever you have to do. We want to grow this show, guys. We want to get this show to be atop the Devils YouTube game, to be atop we want to corner the Devils, video and podcast market, and we want to be able to take this show on the road. We want to be able to take this, do live shows, with front of audiences. We want to do live shows at games. We want you to be I want to be able to ask Sheldon Keefe after these games questions on the road. So it's up to you guys. If you guys continue to grow this stream and continue to support, it would be a big help for us. Rick Roma says Keefe might actually have to say something nice about Nemec in tonight's presser. Yeah, I'm sure he has been complimentary. I really haven't I haven't checked out the presser tonight, but I would be shocked if he didn't praise Nemec. Max Pedanoff says third Devils defenseman in history to get a Hattie. Good stat there, Max. Thanks for the assist there. Cranman85 says, oh God, Jacob Markstrom now has more primary points than Andre Palat. Markey made up for his tough night in net with that pass. Yeah, I want to check out the replay. That was freaking insane. That was freaking insane. Oh my gosh, I'm watching it on my screen right here. Can't show it for copyright purposes. Just a bona fide stretch pass through the zone. Nemec rips it home. An unreal sequence. An unreal sequence. Rick Roma says Luke has lost. Nemec is surging. Once the team is back, I gotta ask, Keefe about Luke. Maybe talk to Luke about, some of his struggles. It's not been good. It's not been good so far. I think last game, give him the benefit of the doubt. Because I think offensively he had one of his, better nights of the year. And tonight, even has 7 shots on goal. Those are both really good things. But we're not focusing on those things right now when you have errant passes, when you have these spinning errant passes, giveaways that are leading right to goals. Your primary assist right to, and in the case of the Islanders, gave a secondary assist right to these goal scorers. So not good. Not good. And tonight's ends up, it was in the ozone too. It was like near the end wall. So it's like, come on, man. Can't do that. Nemec growing right before our eyes. He sure is. Gerald York, can we talk about Markstrom? No bueno. It's funny. It's like tonight. It's like a split reaction on Markstrom. Some people are fine. I'm gonna choose to be okay with this Markstrom game just because of the past one. And I think that beyond the really head scratching mistakes, I thought that he played just solid enough to get the team through. But at the same time, again, you're paid $6 million a year. You just got this big contract, $12 million for 2 years. Play like a goalie that is making $12 million over 2 years. They don't give up, they don't make mistakes like that. So not great. Daniel Horowitz with a good joke here. I mean, his name is Glass. Should have been a dead giveaway. And R. Maz says, just a little hat tricks. Meadowlander says, finding ways to win despite average goaltending, hero of the day. Nemec, no doubt about that, Meadowlander. Oh, look at this. Noah says, Shimon, it's Ace. You had the tweet, Ryan, just wrong player. It would be, I wish it was Jack, man, because, Jack could have been interviewed tonight because he had such an awesome game, too. The Ace thing cracks me up. And then when John Cooper, like, a couple weeks ago, like, turned it back on him and he, like, threatened to fight him, I thought that was just awesome. That was awesome. Guys, quick, important reminder, not only to like and subscribe. We have Corey Schneider coming on the show tomorrow, live at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Corey Schneider, ex-Devils goalie, MSG network broadcaster, will come on, and I will take all of your questions at the end of the show. So be sure to tune in. I will take your questions live. We got Corey Schneider coming on live. Be sure to tune into that. You're not going to want to miss it. Corey Schneider is always pretty candid, too, from what I understand. I can't wait to get that. I can't wait to talk about that. Can't wait to talk about his Devils playing days. Can't wait to talk about what it's like to be roommates with Jack Hughes. All that good stuff. And if everything works out, knock on wood, if everything works out, we should have a freaking crazy line of guests coming up over the next 2 weeks or so. Starting as, again, if it all goes right, starting as soon as this Monday. We'll see what happens, but it would be probably our biggest guest yet. And we've had Martin Brodeur on the show, and we've had Don LaGreca on the show, so we shall see. Let's see. Brady Cole says if it wasn't for his contract, he would be the one that would go down when everyone is healthy. I think you're talking about Kovacevic. We'll see. Victoria Bernardis says there's no reason for a game to end at 2:20 a.m. Oh, very cool. Your greetings from Argentina, as always. Very cool, Victoria. No, appreciate you tuning in from Argentina. It means a lot. Our global growth, the global growth of Speaking of the Devils, we very much appreciate that. Yeah, brutally late game tonight. Brutally late game. It's almost 1 a.m. and I can't believe you guys are still on the stream. Love it. Lou says, I have to go to work tomorrow and it's past mod. Um, have fun at work tomorrow, Lou. Lou is from Argentina and Lou is from Peru. So this South America tuning in. Very cool. Daniel Horwitz said Luke plus Pesci. Smiley face, Luke without Pesci. Face palm. Can't argue with you there, Daniel. Luke's not been great without Pesci, so we'll see if, Again, all the pressure was on Luke, and Metalander says it here. Luke is getting too much ice time due to injuries. All the pressure for me, like he was like the number one guy that I was really focusing in on with Pesci going down. Because again, as I said so many times on this show, you're getting paid like a number one defenseman. It's time for you, when your number one defenseman goes down, to play like a number one defenseman. He hasn't done that so far. He hasn't done that so far at all. So we shall see. And Daniel Horwitz makes another good point here. Missing camp is catching up to him. I wonder if we'll see, because Keefe has been really like pushing it with like he's made so many little comments about Dawson Mercer and missing camp last year. Mercer missed like a day at camp last year. I wonder if we ask about Luke, like I wonder if he would start, singing a similar tune there. We shall see. Victoria says Markstrom isn't the best goaltender in the league, but I don't feel like he is horrendous. Yeah, but again, it's just the monetary thing. It's you want him to play like a Vezina level goalie because he's getting paid like a Vezina level goalie. So I don't blame fans for seeing being glass half empty with Markstrom. I really don't. Brady Cole, Markstrom has started slow for us. He'll be great mid-season. Yeah, that's from what I heard last year, that's how it went. And then in the playoffs, he really turned it on. So, if you can get him to be an excellent playoff goalie, then fine. Fine. Devils fans will take that, I'm sure, but you just want him to be a little more consistent. Because look, Devils are winning in spite of their goaltending right now, because it's been kind of hit or miss, and only few games there's been, and most of the time it's just been Allen where they've stolen games. But it's been too inconsistent. It's been too Jekyll and Hyde too, because once one goalie's hot, the other one ends up being cold. I'm sure. Let's see what Allen does next time out. If he gets the next start, we shall see. Duck Gusev, my man, says Gritsuk got possession back just before the Markstrom stretch pass. His all-around game continues to impress. I would agree with that, man. He did not look out of place on that top line for the whole game, and obviously that line dominated. Again, I have to reiterate these advanced stats. I'll just go for some of them. The shot attempts tonight with that first line on the ice, Dawson Mercer, Jack Hughes, Arseny Gritsuk. Shot attempts were 29-5. That's ridiculous. Shots on goal were 10-1. Unbelievable. Utterly outstanding. Dubzilla, another OT thriller. Luke, Nemec, and Silyaev are going to be a 90s era decor. Folks, yeah, a lot to like in that decor. See what is coming up the pipeline on the blue line. Brady Cole, Gritsuk was tremendous today. Yeah, he sure was. And even his metrics alone, let's see what he looked like. When Arseny Gritsuk was on the ice, the Devils had a 33-11 shot attempt advantage. And that's at all strengths. When he was on the ice at all strengths, they had a 13-5 shot advantage. He was awesome tonight. He did not look out of place at all, as mentioned just now. Promising signs from the youngster, who his all-around game is just so much more complete than I thought it would be. He continues to surprise me every single night out. Dubzilla, hope the dopes stop the hate after a game like this. We take a win and prep for Washington. Let's go Devils. I'll say this, like with all the injuries, the Devils have just been on freaking fire lately. They've been on fire. Stole a point last game. Got an outright win this game. Got 2 points this game. against a really good Blackhawks team. A Blackhawks team that's up there in the standings. Um, you should you should be impressed with what the Devils are doing right now, given all the injuries. Positive signs, and this team's only going to get healthier. Um, Victoria says, I would choose De Musica Ligera by Soda Stereo as goal song. It would slap. I don't know that song, but I did look that up. Lou is agreeing there. Anthony Gragnano says, per TNT, Nemec only the third defenseman in history to record a hat trick. Uli Hemer, 1984. I think I talked to Chico Rush once about Uli Hemer. That's funny that you mentioned it. Um, Moving on. Eric R., would you consider trading Mercer while his stock is at its absolute highest for a package for an established stud like Kempe or Kyrou? Ooh, Kyrou would be such a good fit in this top six, but Mercer's off to such a good start to this season. I don't know if you want to dangle him necessarily. I think you have enough assets to where you can pull a trade off even for a Kyrou without giving up a Mercer. But we'll see. But again, Fitzgerald, I've talked about this so many pods. He has so many chips that he just has not pushed in yet that I'm willing to bet that you could get someone to bite, even if it is a St. Louis Kyrou trade without giving up someone like that. EZ says they dominated second and third. Can they sustain that kind of play? Top six was amazing, but depth is getting tested. Glass and McEwen hurt. Sure is easy. Sure is. We'll see. Again, what happens with them. Hopefully, nothing long term. But it didn't look good. McEwen hobbling off the ice and Glass, going back on for a shift and then not being able to finish it out. Concerning signs all around. But we'll see. We'll see. Can the bottom six sustain it with these injuries? Probably not. But again, the Devils did fine with against some pretty good teams out west. I know they went 1-for-3, but those teams were really darn good. And then once they came back home, they ended up really turning it on and getting a couple wins in a row. And they've sustained that. They're on a pretty good point streak right now. So we'll see if they can sustain it. They've sustained all these injuries so far, and they have the fourth most man games lost to injuries. So I wouldn't bet against them. Brian F., could they possibly have talked about Bedard more on the broadcast? Holy hell. And I thought it was funny too. I did think it was funny. I noticed that. A lot of Bedard talking, and rightfully so. He's an excellent young player. But Nemec has that second goal, and Bedard was actually the one at fault there. He was either giveaway or breakdown. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember noting that Bedard was at fault there. So we shall see. Brady Cole, and then we're going to wrap it up because it is almost 1 a.m. Nemec trade value is skyrocketing. Yeah, I mean, again, look. I don't know if they're going to end up trading Shimon Nemec. I think at this point the organization would be fine without trading Shimon Nemec because he's played out of his mind ever since this old rolling crease. All I'll say is that the Devils have a lot of these chips in. The Devils want to get established players, and now is the time to strike for the Devils while you have all these great valued contracts with awesome players still on the books. Okay, now is the time to strike. Are you willing to push in a chip as big as Nemec? Are you willing to do it? That might separate the Devils from, that could propel. If it's for a chip that propels the Devils into Stanley Cup conversation this year, I say, why the hell not? And I know Nemec has been great. I understand that. But at some point, you go with the established guy because at some point Nemec might fizzle out. So we'll see what they end up doing. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Corey Schneider tomorrow, 3 p.m., taking your live questions. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. And a bunch of other guests in the pipeline. I promise you, we have a crap ton of guests coming that are going to be a lot of fun. Announcements to come. But we could have our biggest guest yet on Monday. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great night. Or morning. Have a great morning.